Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello. Well, this is one of the first interviews we've got of Season 2, Paul.
Mark, we're in Season 2. What's going on?
Because we're not alone in this establishment.
It feels very similar to Season 1.
Does sound, you look familiar.
Yeah.
Who's that? Someone over here.
Well, should we go straight to it, Mark?
Let's go straight to it. Without further ado. Or is it a Jew? I think it's a further ado. I never know these things.
Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Solent Kestrel coach, Annie Scanlon.
Welcome to the show, Annie.
Thank you. I like that introduction.
There you go.
We'll make a copy, and you can have that on your your ringtone. Send it to friends when they give when you're calling them, just so they know.
I liked it.
Everyone likes that. It's great.
Yeah, I wonder if we should send that out. Actually, just cut them on for Season 1. Just send it to some people and go, "There's your intro."
I think we
They'd
should
like it.
cut that and give it to all our guests so they can use it as like a text message alert or a phone call alert or something like that.
Are
Or an
you in
alarm.
the same conversation as me? I just said
What?
that.
Oh, I said it better though. You said it in a way that I didn't know what you were saying. Anyway, Annie,
That's a good
welcome.
start.
Welcome. So for our listeners, they would have heard you on the
On our live podcast.
on the live podcast that we did,
Yes.
which was I
So-
guess 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. But that
2
was
weeks ago.
Mark Jackson's Summer Classics, and he
One
came
you're
on.
thinking of was the one we did before. The one we interviewed Annie on was the Summer Classic, but we did the other one as well, didn't we? The Summer Tournament.
Okay.
There was two, wasn't there? Because there's one, and then there's the
Yeah,
Summer
they have
League.
the league and then the Summer Classic tournament.
So we did the speaking over the top for that one.
Commentary.
Yeah, that's the word.
Well, look,
Been a long day.
we have got a legend in the studio, Mark.
Thank you very much. How about Annie?
I'm talking about.
Oh,
Annie.
right.
So, look, we were talking on a show, and look, she is, definitely made her presence felt in the South Coast. And look, we had to get on a show, hear her story. So, I guess, Annie, where did it all start? Why did you get into basketball? Where did it start for you?
So I actually didn't start basketball until like later on in my schooling. I had you might know her, Holly Over was my PE teacher. And she got me into basketball, and then ended up going to Itching College, and Vicky Milner took me on from there and sort of moulded me into the player that I am.
So what sort of age was that?
15.
Oh, wow,
15,
late.
I
Late
was
then.
late. I was late into playing.
So what sport was pre to that then? Because you're obviously a sporty
Football.
person. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was all because my dad liked football, and my little brother was too young to play for a team, so I ended up playing for a team.
Where did you play? Where
I
did
was
you
in
play?
goal
You-
because I was the same size as the goal, height-wise.
I was thinking that it's got to be goalkeeper. Most basketball players end up as goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick hands. Yeah, willing to sacrifice diving for something.
Football-wise, do you support a team?
My family support a team. I wouldn't say I support a team. I don't really follow football.
Who does the family follow?
Southampton.
Oh, of course.
Someone has to.
The Saints.
Yeah.
So, look, let's talk about her now, because Vicky Milner, I actually tried to get her to speak on the Jackson's Summer Classic tournament, but she's
No
quite
chance.
quite shy.
She
But
won't do that.
what I love about Vicky, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, what I love about her is, and I see it in lots of players that she has developed, is she comes across like she will put the player's career before the Solent Kestrels club.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love that, because it's just like, look, you can go and soar in the women's BBL, or we can have you here and have a great team here. And that's what I really like about how she comes across.
Yeah, she puts the players first, and she always has done. I think even when we were playing for her back at college, it was always player first mentality. I could have stayed at Solent for university, but Vicky was the one that went, no, go find somewhere else.
Oh, really?
And go branch out, because if you stay here, you stay in the same systems. You need to go and learn a different system, like playing system, and play with different people. Otherwise, I'd be playing with the same people that I have done for the past few years.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's what I love about her.
That must be hard, like just as a coach as well, to go, oh, I really want you to stay, but that's the right thing for you to do, because you actually are fighting with, I'm here to try and have the best people here. But then if your gut is that person who wants to see people do well.
And I think when I was going
conflict.
to uni, it was before Solent Kestrels and Solent Uni had formed, like had joined together. So it would have been me going to someone completely different, and she didn't necessarily want me to go there. She wanted me to branch out and go further afield.
And I also think it's relevant to several coaches, Solent Kestrels. And this kind of goes way back, I think, from when you get to, say, maybe Jimmy and Bev Guyman as well.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Matt.
Yeah.
Even when we had Jack O'Keefe on, the way he was talking, it was like, look, you really put your player's career
100%
at the top of your list. And look, that I love that. That just says to me that you guys are in it for the right reasons.
Yeah. You do what you can for the kids, and then when you know that they're not going to succeed anymore in the club or get any higher, and Faye, for example, we couldn't give her WBBL. Like, there was no way that we would have ever gone WBBL. So the right thing for us to do, and the right thing for Vicky to do, was reach out to other clubs and show her that she can go play WBBL in this country and be successful.
Is that how Faye got the opportunity then?
Yeah, Vicky and Faye went round looking at clubs, and
oh wow,
there was talk of Catalonia, but I think that was a little bit too far for Faye, a little bit too far up the country. And then the London Lions thing came in, and Faye went to Vicky for advice on it. And I think Vicky's words were, "You'd be stupid to not play for the best club in the country."
Wow.
Always a tricky one though as well, isn't it? Because you've got to look at that and say, you want to be involved at that point with it as a player, but do you want to go to a club that's going to be established? Do you want to go one where you're going to get minutes? Do you want to go one where you're going to win something? And then that automatically puts you on a pedestal anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like, some people want to do it for their own graft.
Yeah.
And some people want to do it because they want to be part of a certain club, and some people want the kind of mix. So I think that's a real challenge with some players.
But you do see it with players where, I mean, look, you only have to look where we are. You see players where you're like, you can excel past this club.
Yep. This is not your ceiling. Yeah, you got to go find your ceiling. I mean, that's the reason Jeremy Sohan came back and comes and spends time with Jack and stuff. Who does that? Yeah,
that's a relationship that Jack built, and Jack had Jeremy's best interests. And the fact that Jack and Matt got flown out for the draft,
that is so cool,
phenomenal,
isn't it?
Like that just shows what an impact both Jack and Matt had on Jeremy, and the fact that he will come back and just put on Q&As for the kids, and he's willing to give back to the club. I think that's something that his mum installed in him, because she's always commenting on everything that the club does. She's so invested in basketball as well. It's then come through to him, and it's nice to see.
That's great, because I almost wanted to ask, could we turn up to that? But then it was like, I didn't want to, I kind of wanted to keep, I didn't want to like tap Jack and say, Jack, can I really come along to that? But I thought, no, like, I don't want to. There was
a picture that I think Jack had put up on social media, and it was one of the ones with Jeremy, and they were doing like a training session.
Yeah.
What I really liked in the picture was you could see in the picture that Jeremy was listening, and that sounds really silly to say that, but he's like, no, I'm here, I'm with my coach, not I'm an NBA player now, like I'm 2 clubs past you, Like, oh no, I listen to you.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I like that little, I don't know, it's just that was a cool picture because you always find people in life that you go, that's my mentor, or that's someone I respect and I want to listen to.
100%.
Well, I think, and I might be wrong here, but I think in the Solent Kestrels, they've got, what's the right way to phrase this? A culture where you respect your coach. And let's face it, when you've got coaches who've won titles, who have played for their country or who have played in, National League, Div 1, whatever it is, you're going to naturally get that respect anyway, but it almost feels like it's built into a culture.
Yeah, I would say it is one thing that, we want good players, but we also want respectful players. So if that's respecting the coach, respecting the officials, that's one thing. I've watched many D1 men's sessions or D2 men's sessions, and if Matt or Jack are spoken to in a certain type of way, that's it, that player's out of the session.
Okay.
Because even at that level, they want the respect.
Yeah.
What Matt and Jack say goes, and I think Vicky's very much like that as well. I'd say me and Vicky don't necessarily throw players out of the gym and say you're done, you're not training, but we do it in a slightly different way. I think with females you do have to do it in a slightly different way depending on their character, but we won't have people being rude to us. It's just, I think another thing is how much time the coaches give up. A lot of our players do understand that actually we're giving up our weekends, we're giving up 2 evenings a week, we're giving up time in the week for you to train.
And you're giving them your experience and your knowledge.
Yeah. So they do respect it.
So that in itself has got a lot of value.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up about just the amount of time, because we say it over and over again on this. We're never interviewing people, and you talk about clubs and you talk about all of the unseen work. There's a lot of people who see game day or just think of, oh, you're a basketball player, and they just think of maybe the training section or just the minutes on court, and they don't see, oh, there's a whole circus around this that's probably 4 times the amount of hours that you're just thinking happens.
Yeah.
Goes on the background, and there's multiple people who are doing it out of the kindness or just the love of the sport.
Yeah, literally. And I'd say Kestrels is very much a club that there are a lot of people that will just do it purely for who the club, like for Bev, they'll do it for Bev because obviously she was one of the founders of Kestrels, and they will continue to do it because they love the sport and she built that love for the sport for them, so they'll continue that on.
Yeah, and Vicky Milner in particular, I've got a lot of time, a lot of respect for her, just from the amount of people she's helped with their basketball careers. That just kind of speaks volumes, and that just speaks for itself.
She's phenomenal, and she'll never do one of these. She doesn't talk about herself. She doesn't.
I know. I love that because I was said to her, come and join the podcast, thinking, oh, it'd be great if we get her on. But then it was like, oh, well, no, like you are. She came across like, wow, you're so humble that you're like, yeah, no, get her on. They're really good. And
yeah.
It's like, she just came across really humble. Like, look, I don't want the limelight. I want the players to have the limelight. That's how, when that moment she came across, it was like, wow. So when Markham was like, Vicky just don't like. She's not there. It's all about the players for her. Well, that's how it came across anyway.
Oh, yeah, massively. She is all about the players and all about, especially from like coaching, she was very much, well, she's done her bit in coaching. She wants the next generation of coaches to come through. That's what she did with me, and that's how she's pushed me to be the better coach that I am.
Is she getting ready to retire?
No, she can't. I'm going to Australia. My job's the itching job, so she can't do that until I come home.
So she took you at that point, what, like 15, you said?
16.
16.
So when I went to college, when I went to Itchin at 16, that's when Vicky took over and put my trust in her.
You got to say, arguably, one of the best academies in the UK.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No question.
Top 3? Top 3 maybe?
Probably up there.
It's up there.
Top 5
it's
without,
up there.
without a doubt, yeah. I mean, you've got various ones all round. But
so what's the Itchin college setup like? I don't think we've ever talked about that on the show
Ooh.
before.
I loved it.
Not knowingly.
I loved it. It's when I was there, they weren't WABL. It was before WABL was even created. So we were just Hampshire League, and then we would go to like regional tournaments. And Vicky will agree, it was me and my best mate Bryony were the two basketball players, and then we pulled in people from here, there, and everywhere to come and play. Mostly netballers to come and play.
You do that at college, though, don't you?
Yeah, but that was before women's basketball was as big as it is now. And I still think we have a lot of growing to do in women's basketball, but we didn't have WABL. The boys had EABL, I think. I think that was already set up for the boys, but there was no WABL. There was no girls' academies, but we loved the sport environment so much that both me and Bryony ended up doing 3 years there, because Vicky had Brooke in my second year, and we wanted another year playing with Vicky, so we stayed at college for another year.
Again, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
I can't believe. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that and you think, I want to learn more from I mean, what you say, there's lots of things obviously that you learned from her.
Yeah.
Can you think of any things that you were surprised that you learned, or that I won't say like the intangible things that you learned? Because it's probably, I mean, you can learn certain things about the game.
Yeah.
But we always talk about how whenever you're in sports and stuff, you're learning other things, not just about yourself, but your mindset and how you can, if you have injuries or focusing on various things and stuff. Were there any things like that you found in that journey at Itchen?
I think
that surprised you?
I think the one thing that Vicky's always instilled in us, and I would say has helped me massively, so the surprising one, is how to build a team culture, because like I said, it was just me and Bryony. We were the only two basketballers. So how can you build a team when there's only two of you that fully understand the game of basketball? And she helped us mold that, and that sort of showed me, well, you can have 2 or 3 players and then still instill like a team basketball element within that. And I think she does that so well, because even now, I've been at their pre-season for the last 2 days, and there's players that have played together and there's players that are brand new to the academy. So then she's got to rebuild this team culture again, and just the little ways that she does it, like I've then used when I've coached nationally, when I've done 14s, when I've done 18s, when I've done D1. Like, there's lots of little things that we've used that I've stolen from her, because she's instilled that from when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there, I won't say not a magic formula, but is it just lots of little touches then if you're trying to build this team culture?
I think it's lots of little touches. You're never going to build a perfect team. I think if there's a coach that thinks, I'm going to build this perfect team, it's never going to happen. You're always going to have a certain issue somewhere, but it's how you then react and deal with those issues and make the players hold each other accountable, but in the right way, because there's holding people accountable in the wrong way and screaming and shouting and swearing at them, and then there's knowing your audience and knowing how to hold them accountable. And I think that's the trickiest part.
When you talk about holding, when you said it, all I can think of is Mickey Byrne
throwing you out,
or whoever it is, get out! You're never playing basketball again. So
and then next week it's like, yeah,
you'd get a phone. No, okay. If you didn't turn up for like a week, you'd get a phone call. When are you turning up? yeah, we need you. You're like, all right. But yeah.
No, it is a nice thing though, isn't it, that you have that.
Have I said the story about where he made kids cry? Have I told you that one before?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'll say it really quickly. So I was doing an under 12 session on a Sunday for like a few hours, and I was like, look, Mick, I've got under like 10, 11, 12-year-olds down one end of the court, and I've got like babies from like 4 all the way up to maybe 8, 9 or something down the other end. I'll go and do the really little ones. Can you look after the other ones? Because I'm a coach down. I can't get anyone. He goes, yep, good out. No worries. Anyway, 10 minutes into him, someone says, I think you need to just have a look there. And it was like 3 kids crying. I could hear him like, come on, pass the bloody ball. I was like, Mick, what's going on? He goes, girl, I can't pass the ball. Don't know what's going on here. And he's like, I'm like, Mick, this is like the 1970s style of coaching. You can't scream at kids anymore. And he's like, all right, go on, let's get on with it. But anyway, yeah, that's the brutal approach, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think some coaches still do that approach, and unfortunately, with the youth that are coming up now, that doesn't work with some of them.
Yeah, you know what? I always think it depends on the person.
Yeah, 100%.
Some people need a cuddle. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying going up to and give it. Some people need that.
Would you like me to give
I'm
you a
here.
cuddle?
Are you okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people respond to, come on, you need to get your head switched on and you know, be confrontational to them.
So that's the coach's role, isn't it?
That is the coach's role, and it's knowing your players.
Yep.
And there's...
Someone wants a carrot, someone wants a kick up the butt.
Yeah.
And you just got to know which one it is. Like, you were the one who were always, it's like, get you fired up, and then you take it personally, and then off you go, sort of thing. That always sort of works quite well for you.
I was just used to, well, I grew up with Mick screaming at you, so that was like, that's what a coach does. And if he's screaming at you, something's wrong. You need to sort it out.
But you also then, it built, you know, separately, you knew it ultimately put the pressure on of, if I screw this shot up, if I miss this pass, it's like, I'm sitting down the rest of the game. And like, you already know it. So when it's like sub, you just start walking. You wouldn't even have to look. Is it my number that they're calling? It's like, I don't even have to look. I know I'm off.
Or if someone scores on you, sub,
it's straight off. But it instilled that, didn't it? So then
it instilled every moment matters on this court. That's what it instilled.
But then you got used to the pressure, and that's part of the hard thing, isn't it? Knowing what that pressure is. Like, oh, I've missed one. Okay, if you get the ball again, don't play hot potato. You take the shot. It's like, I'm going to take that. I'm going to keep taking that shot. It's like, I was an open shot. It was the right shot. It missed, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to take it again.
Yeah.
But trying to learn that when you're little, that's hard. That is hard.
So what's your highlight at Itchen? Obviously, we talked about Vicky. Talked about Vicky. What's the highlight for you at Itchen?
I think in my second year, Matt Guyman was our coach. He had to take over as the girls' coach, which was quite funny. We managed to get to the county, like, we did the county finals, we won that, and then we went on to, like, I can't remember what it, went and played like West or East finals, something like that.
So it's going more national.
Yeah, like regional finals, that's the word I was thinking of, regional finals. And it was a tied game in the final buzzer, and they were like, we're playing golden basket. And I was like, no, we play overtime. What are you on about?
Golden basket?
Yeah.
What? Like first
golden basket, first team to score.
Really?
And we were like, no. This is for a spot, like, in Manchester. This was for a spot in Manchester. And we were like, no way. But Vicky had come to coach us on that day because she knew that we'd be going there. I think I don't even think Brooke was born then, so Vicky was heavily, heavily pregnant.
Was this the ref's decision?
It was the tournament rules.
Oh.
It was the tournament rules. Golden basket.
I've never heard of that in my life.
No.
Golden basket. So what? The game finishes and they're saying, right, we restart with a jump ball.
Like, so it was just, there was no clock. It was just golden basket.
Wow.
Like in football, next goal wins. And this is when we had a lot of netballers, and we were like, you have to be aggressive and you just have to foul. Like, we don't care, they're not scoring. You need to foul, push them over if you have to.
Yeah.
And she's a very close friend of mine. She is probably the nicest girl ever. She was like, I can't do that. And the person she was marking, she actually played against in netball. And we were like, foul, just foul, push her, foul. No, she didn't foul her. They scored. We're all sat there like, that was probably one of my highlights. Like, as we didn't win,
it's a moment.
but
It's a moment. Yeah,
it was a big moment.
Jeez.
I've never heard of golden basket.
Yeah, we never played that role ever again.
That
Vicky put her argument in on that.
Let's
That's horrific.
Let's ignore
That's horrific.
FIBA guidelines that there's a 40-minute maximum time limit on the clock. No, we're doing golden basket in England. You could have a 48-minute game, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I get why they do it in football because football can go. It's boring anyway, and it takes like 90 minutes, and you go, there could be no goal scored. In basketball, that's ridiculous. You're basically saying 50-second shot.
Yeah, and whoever wins jump ball. Oh, well, so in those days it would have been a jump ball because the whole jump ball change direction hadn't come in. So it would have been whoever wins jump ball and wins possession, probably.
Unless you're going in with a clothesline, and then I guess you get, and then they'll get fouled, and then they'll go to the line anyway, wouldn't they?
Will you go to line if you get fouled?
I don't think we were in team foul, so I think we still had a foul to give.
Oh, okay.
Which is why we were like, foul.
This might give you a little PTSD, Paul, but the elbow's coming out if that's the case. You're going straight in with.
But I know what you're saying. So when I was at college and we had one of those regional tournaments, we ended up playing some random. It was like. They were paying hundreds of thousands to be there. It's that kind of school.
Got you.
It wasn't like Hogwarts, but it wasn't far off. But their basketball court was like, I want to say...
That's your frame of reference, Hogwarts.
Look, Mark.
Everyone brought an owl. The broomsticks were all lined up on the side.
Look, we talk about our school.
Oh, I know.
But this took it to a new level. This took it to a completely new level. But I want to say it was like... 2.5 badminton courts was the size of the court.
Oh my god!
And we kind of turned up like, what? Like warming up with like the 3-point lines almost touching. That's kind of how it felt.
You mentioned that sport on this podcast.
And even the ceiling, because I have quite a high arc, and we had this, remember a guy called Dan Sansenbaker?
Oh, yes.
He was a really good 3-point shooter. He also had like a high arc, but we were shooting threes and it was hitting these like beams, and we were like, we literally, I mean, it's not that high, but it was like we can't shoot.
Yeah.
And then the sideline, you had all the spectators like literally on the sideline. So I remember one breaking down the side and getting tripped up by a spectator and looking like, and the ref was like, well, what can I do? They're trying to spectate the game. Like, yeah, there's a difference between standing there and sticking your foot out, but their feet were still on the court. It was the weirdest game, but that was the same thing. And we lost. We lost that at Hogwarts.
At
Hogwarts.
Magic was prohibited.
Did you go back on a boat that sunk under the water?
Or did you fly on one of the horse things?
Both. I don't know.
You did both.
Remember.
That's just greedy.
I can't remember. I remember it being a long trip, but yeah.
And you walked your ass back. That's what you did.
So yes, look. So from Itchen, your amazing time at Itchen, you then head to Wales.
I did.
So you're part Welsh.
Part Welsh, yeah. That's my mum's side.
So it's Welsh, English, Irish.
Yep, dad's side's Irish. I was born in England, so I get all three.
Just missed out on Scottish. Look at these two sitting there smiling away. Look, our Scottish listeners will be. Look, I'm supporting. Hang on, I was going to say Eop. That's Yorkshire.
Wow. Yes, that northern part. I think Waterlooville's northern, so you know.
Yeah. You know what? I know a guy. He's got an Apple iPhone, and he has this case, and on the it's not that funny.
It's not that. Apparently, it's not that funny.
But
no.
it is.
Do you know in Scotland they say I for yes?
Yeah.
It says I think, and how's that spelled? I think it's like
AYE.
AYE. That's it. So he's got iPhone on the back of his.
Wow.
That tickled him.
Oh dear, I thought it was really funny. Oh, iPhone. Anyway, right. So we're not in Scotland. We're in Wales.
We're in Wales. We're
So
in
you're off to
Cardiff.
The mighty Met Archers.
Cardiff.
Yeah, Cardiff Met Archers.
And they still got a strong setup even till now.
Phenomenal setup.
National League, 2 teams. National League.
2.
I think for men's.
2 for men's. They got 2 women's teams, and then their junior program is pretty strong as well.
And it's the one city that we're always bringing up about potential
Oh, 100%.
What BBL? What we call it now? SLB.
SLB.
Super League Basketball. So they're the ones that we were like, could they come in?
Yeah, I think they would like that. Obviously, they've been in the WBBL for a very long time.
Yeah.
They were in it before I got there. So
And that's the thing, because it's like they're in there.
yeah.
Why is the men's team not in it? It's like they were looking to expand. It just didn't make sense. Really, really unusual. Like Essex Rebels, I think, are the same. So I think they've got.
Essex Rebels have a WBBL team.
Yeah, and it doesn't. There's no parallels
No.
for on some of the teams anyway. It's quite surprising.
You think if you've got one set up, the other one, you would have the other one?
If you've got a great ladies team,
Yeah.
you think, well, there's an infrastructure there because you have to have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying, isn't it? With Incheon and all these places, you've got to have a whole backing behind you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Solent has done so well. Is
Yeah.
having just that whole ecosystem. That, places like Portsmouth and a lot of the places around all down the south have been very jealous of, because it's, that whole ecosystem behind the Kestrel success. It's not just about the team, if that makes sense. There's so much around it.
Yeah.
Well, the Met Archers in particular last year, was it last year? Was it last season? If it wasn't last season, it was at the end of the season before. But the second team, it was
the
like,
first season.
they're okay, they're all right, but look, they're a Div 3, maybe a Div 3 conference team. The first team, bloody hell, they were good.
Yeah.
They were really good.
They are
had
a strong
one
team.
guy was in the NCAA, didn't they?
Yeah.
I remember his arms were like
Tree trunks, yeah.
absolute tree trunks, and they just dominated us as a team.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. I think a few of them afterwards, I was
It's like,
talking
look,
to us like, look, it was a pleasure. If you've done well, if someone from the opposing fan base come out, it was a pleasure watching you today.
Well, yeah, it's like the men's team and playing the boys' team. It was that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
It was just, that's the next jump. But I love that, because we've talked about it before, where I'm sure you've had it. When you're learning in your youth teams, you're always looking at the people who are older than you. And you're saying, that's what I've got to do to get to the next. That's what the next step kind of looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that gets missed sometimes, doesn't it? Where we had it in real juniors, where there was a curtain separating the hall, and it was like, once you're old enough or big enough or brave enough, you got on that side of the curtain. And then the real game. That's where you're learning the real games.
The real game started on Monday night.
Well, you know what
That's
I mean.
where the real game started.
But that was a rite of passage to get underneath that thing. And then, you had to get invited to Mondays. But the whole, you sometimes people don't see that as like, you have to see who's above you and who's older and doing more, if that makes sense.
I'd say that's something that Cardiff do. Like when I went there, I was playing in the D1 team. I want to say we were D1, D2. I can't remember. But we trained with WBBL. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was training twice a week with the WBBL team.
So they're setting you up. If you're good enough, you're going in.
Yeah. They wanted. It was a training squad for the WBBL team to play against, and they had enough numbers. I guess it was a numbers makeup, but also when we played Bucks, I was playing with 3 of the WBBL players on my Bucks 1 team. So then it was the same systems, and we were all learning the same thing. But
wow.
I was playing with, I'm pretty sure Jess was NCAA Div 1 player, and then she came to Cardiff to do her masters. So I was not only watching her play, but also playing with her when we played Bucks, which was pretty sick.
Yeah, just a bit. Blimey.
Who's your favourite WBBL player that you've played with?
Steph Collins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I would say if you made a mistake, she wouldn't get frustrated, like her mannerisms and how she would speak to you, because I'm not as good as her. I'll never be as good as her as a player, but how she would then correct a mistake you made wouldn't make you feel stupid and wouldn't make you feel so much less than her. It was more, well, this is what went wrong. This is how we fix it. I think that's probably why she's one of my favourite players to play with.
Wow, nice.
That's cool.
And what's the progression of your playing career at Cardiff at that time?
So in my second year, we were still Bucks 1. We were actually undefeated for 2 years in a row in Bucks in the Prem. We ended up playing in London every week, which was
nice.
glorious trip from Cardiff to London. And then we went to, they had Super 8s tournaments then. So all the top 4 teams from the North and South would go to a university for a weekend. We had 2 trips up in Northumbria and 1 trip to University of East London, I want to say. And in my second year, we managed to beat a North team, which was quite unheard of for a South team to beat a North team in the Women's League, because all of the North teams had the WBBL setups. So they had 3 Americans playing with a European player. So it was quite hard to beat them. But we beat them on the Saturday, which then meant we went to the semi-finals. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
That was nice to be a part of. And in the first, I think it was the first play of the game, I'm not a 3-point shooter. It's very late in the shot clock if I jack up a 3. It was late in the shot clock and I had the ball and all I heard Steph shouting was shoot. Shot it, banked it. And I just turned around and looked at her with absolute shock on my face. And then she went, go play defense.
Did you call the bank?
No.
Doesn't count. No, it doesn't count.
Don't count.
So what happened? Did you win that semi?
No. Unfortunately, we lost the semi. We were playing against Loughborough.
Oh, okay.
So
One of the big ones.
quite hard to beat.
Yeah.
They always have a good setup. But it was close. It wasn't a blowout, which was quite good for us.
And they're the setup for Leicester Riders, or they're part of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a whole
Loughborough
connection,
Loughborough feeds, like they get the players in on scholarships
Yeah.
for Leicester Riders.
They're one of the biggest, or they, historically always been one of the biggest sporting universities in the UK. Like even when, people were writing on tombstones and we went to uni, like that Loughborough that's where you went for sports science and stuff.
Yeah.
It was always been very, very big, isn't it? So their connection with the Riders and that goes without saying.
Look, I'll be honest, I'm giggling away a little bit to myself because I've got a story. But Mark, this might upset a few people. I might need a snowflake warning.
Oh yeah,
Hang on, where's that?
right there.
Snowflake warning. So when I used to play National League, we used to play against Cardiff.
Yeah.
And they had one guard, really good guard.
Did he have a beard?
No, I don't think he did. He might have had a little goatee every now and then, but we always played him. But he was really good. He had black hair, like black curly hair, and you know where I'm going with this. It looked very sheepish. So I remember, I think it might have been Ryan Payne or it was Steve Nelson. One of them, I'd be like, look at his hair, looks like sheep. And one of them went, you should tell him. So yeah, one game went on to it. Do you know your hair looks really sheepish? He didn't like it at all.
No,
really took it personally. So yeah, it was. We had him. We had him
on-
quite quick from that point on.
Well, yeah, it's not
Oh dear.
on the list of things you want to hear about.
Sorry,
the hairstyle, is
that
it?
just popped in my mind when you were talking about Cardiff. I remember that guy. He was a great player, point guard. But yeah, if you're a point guard for Cardiff with black sheepish hair, come on the show. We'll have a chat.
Wow, it might not be sheepish anymore. Might have lost the bounce.
Might be grey.
Might have lost the spring.
It might be grey.
It might have been sheared. We've all have it.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. Anyway. Right. Look, Mark. This is Annie's show.
But so Annie, when you're playing there,
Yeah.
and you're in those sort of things, one thing we've dived into with people before when they've gone to sort of uni and when they've gone to colleges and stuff in the States, is the amount of time they have to practice and the amount of access that they actually have.
Yeah.
And it's one of the key things that I remember. It's one of the things Steve Davison said about he couldn't believe that when he came back from being out of education and then went into the semi-pro world and that sort of thing, he's like, the access I've got to gyms and to train and all that stuff, it's just disappeared.
Just stops.
Yeah.
Like overnight. So what was the access like, and what was like your? I know you said you trained twice a week there, but what was it outside of that?
So we were quite fortunate because we were in the Prem for Bucks. We got quite a lot of perks for that. We had S&C coaches, so we did 3 morning sessions of S&C a week, and it would tie in with games, and they would look at where in the season we were as to what type of program we'd be on. And if you couldn't make a session because of a lecture, then you would change it. Like in my second year, they nicknamed me A&E Annie. I was very injured in my second year. That's when I fractured my orbital floor.
What a great name that is. A&E Annie. Actually, you had a name similar to that. We used to call you Sick Note.
Yeah, yeah. Always get breaking stuff.
Yeah.
A&E Annie.
Yeah. So
within
how did
that,
you do that? Was that a sporting injury or a non-sporting injury?
That was a sporting injury. We were playing Bucks in Archers Arena, and we were full court pressing, and I was the halfway line help. So they'd done a great job at the top, and then it was my job to intercept, and I went to intercept, and as this girl caught the ball, she just swung her elbow right into my eye socket.
You were out the game?
Yes, they thought I'd snapped my nose, and then as soon as I moved my hand away, my eye was black straight away.
Oh, jeez.
My coach at the time, James, thought it was mascara. I was like, James, I don't have any mascara on. So then you could see just the panic in his face.
What did he say? Like, oh, it's all right. It's just much of makeup. It's just a bit smudged.
I actually think someone went and found Steph and was like, Steph, you need to deal with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long did that take to?
I was out of action for 8 weeks. I wasn't allowed to do any contact.
Did you have the old Rip Hamilton over the?
No, I didn't.
Because they do that quite a lot, don't they? When they do the fractured cheekbone, you have to have the Phantom of the Opera kind of thing over there, often perspex.
I'm surprised you don't wear anything like the eye mask.
She's
at least.
double hard, mate. Double hard.
I think that would annoy me when I played. They did joke about it. Steph and James both joked about it, like, we're getting you a mask, and I went, nah, you're not. I just won't rebound the ball. That didn't go down very well.
You know what? I like to imagine that the crowd in attendance, you got 1,000 people watching, all going A&E, A&E.
Nice. So when you came back from that, what was that like, coming back from that kind of injury to playing again? Because it's not a.
Well, you said 8 weeks. Is that 8 weeks before you get back on the court?
So I could get back on the court at 6 weeks, but both my S&C coaches and our physio said no game until 8 weeks. Let's see you get back on court, see you in session. So I was, within that time, I ended up doing 5 S&C sessions a week with the rugby guys. So I ended up in their sessions, which was hilarious because I'm lifting tiny weights and they're lifting massive weights. They have to pull all their big weights off for me to lift mine, which was quite funny. But I would also get shooting sessions within that as well. So I think I had 3 shooting sessions a week just to keep my eye on it. And then the first game back I had was actually at the Thunderdome in London.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if you've ever been to the Thunderdome. The courts are back to back.
I've seen it. That's the I can't think where it's not Brixton. It's
right next to Millwall football ground. But the courts are literally back to back, and they never had a netting up previously. So when we were there was no net separating the courts. It was just court 1, court 2. It was again a Bucks game. There was a men's game going on in the other court. I was very nervous because obviously they're going up for layups, we're going up for layups, and there's crossovers, like you would end up on each other's courts. I think James handled that situation very well as to when he put me in the game and when he didn't. He could see how nervous I was going into it. You play a London team, they're strong anyway. They're going to be physical. I think it was the last 8 seconds of that game. I've dove on a loose ball, managed to get out of that situation, got the ball, and one of the men on the other court has gone up for a layup and has come across onto our court, and I did my knee, dislocated my knee because he came into me.
Were you called A&E?
There's the nickname.
Is that where it came in from that point on?
And there it is.
Literally first game back.
Did they put that back in on the court?
I put it back in.
Oh, God.
I've dislocated both knees. I'm hypermobile, so yeah.
That's why I'm sick now, because I'm hypermobile.
Yeah, so
What's hypermobile?
your joints.
I've got hypermobility syndrome, so you can just do like
overflex
pop
and
things and stuff. And
So what, is that like where your arm keeps going and stuff?
yeah, so when I can do that and bend it, and it bends down there, and
Yeah.
I've not.
That is, you two are disgusting.
I've not snapped any bones, but I've ripped my 3 times that Achilles, twice that one,
Oof.
separated that 4 times. That was one of my best ones because I caught a basketball back here,
That's your shoulder you're pointing to.
and the defender was behind me here, slammed on the ball to try and get it, and it just popped it that way,
Ooh.
and then it came back in again. But I remember that at PGS, and it was like, that was not comfortable because even when it pops back in afterwards, you've done it, haven't you?
Yeah, so that
And all
was
the
my
soft
knee.
tissue's done.
So how do you
Thankfully-
put your knee back?
Well, thankfully
together?
it went there's like a good way of dislocating your knee, and then there's a bad way of dislocating your knee. So if it goes the right way, you can just almost straighten your leg back out and it will slide back in.
Okay.
When I was at college, it went the wrong way and it was stuck under my knee.
Yeah, they roll round, don't they?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my
Oh.
kneecap was actually underneath my knee.
Is your toes still pointing the wrong way? Are they backwards?
No, my toes are fine.
It's just the kneecap.
Just the kneecap.
The kneecap is the only thing that goes around.
under.
He's played with Action Man too much. He thinks your legs going around.
So I managed to put it back in, but as I'd put it back in, I'd caught my MCL.
Jeez.
It was only a partial tear on the MCL, which thankfully didn't need surgery, but then that was me out again for another, I think it was 2 months, that one.
Is that court still the same?
No, Steve Bucknall's done a good job and they've put a net up now.
Even a net is.
They don't,
That's
they
weak.
try to
I
alter
suppose
the
if
game
it
times as
depends
well.
how close it is, isn't it?
I think there is a bigger distance now.
Okay. Wow. How many injuries did you get in Cardiff?
In that season alone, there was 3 injuries. Because, funny story, when I did my eye, I was still coaching, and we had like our Christmas fun session because I actually did my eye socket 3 weeks before my 21st birthday. So I was literally like, I don't want a black eye for my birthday. Was probably a week later, was coaching our fun Christmas session, and they were playing kind of like a bulldog game. I wasn't involved in it because I was like, no way, I'm not putting myself in that situation. And then all I heard was my name shouted. So I turned and one of the other coaches was running towards me, and my teeth went into his head because he was chasing a child. So I actually managed to get my teeth knocked back as well.
Oh no.
So then a week after I'd been in A&E, I'm back in A&E because my teeth had been knocked. And the poor man, it was the same man that saw me for my eye. He had to sit me down and go, right, we need to have a serious conversation. Like, are you at risk? I was like, I just play basketball.
You know what? I've got visions of this doctor coming and going, Annie, yeah, hi, how you doing? Same chair, number 22. We'll be with you in 4 or 5
Basically what
hours.
it was in my second year.
Jeez.
No.
Spent more time in hospital than on a basketball court.
On the plus side, if you're one of her teammates, you've got to sit there and think,
I'm going to be getting some court time.
not only am I
if
getting
I'm
court
backing her
time,
up.
but I'm getting court time, but none of us is going to get the horrific injury because Annie's going to take it.
Yeah, I
Whatever
took all
it
of
is.
them in
So
that
take it for
second
the
year.
team. Done. Nice.
Took them all.
What's the mental recovery of that as well? So when you did your eye and
That was what I was saying with that one.
I'm shocked you're not wearing a mask if you've done your eye and teeth playing.
Hard as nails.
Jeez. But what's the mental cover? Because you know what it's like if you roll your ankle, whatever it is, or
Yeah.
you come back, you start playing, you're bottling out of everything,
I think
and then it suddenly starts coming back.
for me, after I did my knee, it was more of a, no, I have to get back on this court stronger. So I have to change elements of my diet, my training, to make sure I am strong enough so that this doesn't happen again. I was still a chicken and didn't rebound the ball for quite a while, and James shouted at me quite a lot because of that. But we got over that. There was ways. He then changed how he would coach a session, and they would get the rugby pads out and hit me with that, so I'd actually go up for a rebound just to get me used to the contact again. But I think, especially being away from home and having such horrific injuries, it did take a massive mental toll, and that's really when I got into coaching properly.
Would you approach it any differently? I want to say knowing what you know now, but would you, in hindsight, it's all 2020, isn't it? Would you think there was things that you would approach it differently?
Yeah, I think if I could have, with my eye injury, if I could have got back on court not a lot quicker, but could have got rid of the worry of being hit a lot quicker, I might not necessarily have done my knee. But like you say, hindsight is a big thing.
But that was a tough first scenario to go back into as well, where it's like,
tough.
hey, I'm jumping that way and you're jumping this way. It's like, it'd be like having the triple jump and the long jump in the Olympics, like
in the same pit.
I was going to say like opposite pits next to each other, but the same pit. Oh, you're just mixing up now, aren't you? But yeah, that is
mental.
That is, yeah, that's pretty hardcore to go back into that scenario.
In a short space of time, an eye socket, teeth,
and then a knee.
And a knee, Jesus. That is a lot. So
I mean, literally, if you go like swimming in sharks or anything with you, it'd be like, don't go near her. She's getting bit. Like, that's it. The black cat,
everything's going to be seeing those sharks, and we go here's a running bomb on that shark.
Look, it's a shark cage. It's perfectly safe. It's like, no. Is she going to? Yeah, we'll let her go first.
So how far did you get at Cardiff?
So I actually ended up playing for Wales in the under-23 setup. My coach, James Dorr, at the time was the head coach. Well, he was coaching within Wales. And they only went up to under 18s and then women. And he said there's too much of a gap between there. There needs to be something in the middle, especially where a lot of us were at uni. We were essentially being missed out on, or we didn't get the opportunity to represent a country because there was no in the middle age. So we went and did a tournament up in Scotland, and we played a couple of days.
Beautiful Scotland, up in there. Whereabouts in Scotland was it?
Where's that?
Beautiful Scotland, Mark.
I want to say Dundee.
Dundee!
I could be lying.
Beautiful. That's where my family's from, or half my family's from.
I think Dundee.
Dundee.
We did a couple games in Dundee and then some in Edinburgh as well. So we played a Scottish team when they did an under-23.
You sounded a bit Scottish when you said Scottish then.
Scottish.
No, I didn't.
Scottish.
A Scottish team.
Scottish team.
A Scottish team.
And then we played some uni teams up there as well. But it was just nice. It was good. I had no idea how to sing the national anthem. I just made it up.
In the Welsh accent, all right. There we go.
It's even the Welsh language.
Oh, I was just about to ask it. Is it in Welsh?
Yeah. I knew 2 parts of it. And that was literally when they just make a noise. And it was the easiest bit to do.
What's the Welsh anthem?
I'm going to shout at my
okay.
friend
No, that's
Arwell
Canada.
here because he's Welsh and he's actually played it to me before, and it's
What is
like,
it?
I'm honestly, it sounds like
It's
someone's
so hard.
going for it. It's not say clearing their throat, but it's definitely going for it.
Yeah.
But when you hear someone really rattling off Welsh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe, maybe I'm wrong here, but isn't it Welsh that they based the Elvish sort of speaking from
I think so.
in Lord of the Rings? It's something like that, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because it's very
And they're bringing it back out in
Alright.
schools there.
very soft. Not Rod Gilberty, but
No.
very soft.
Yeah. Are you trying to play the Welsh national anthem?
Yeah, trying to.
He's trying. It's his iPhone.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. But you wait till they start singing.
I like it. At the moment, I like it.
Okay. You try learning it in
Sounds like
Welsh.
something
So my
like a
friend
World War
Arwell's in
II
the London Welsh
war
Choir,
film.
and
Is that Welsh?
Yep.
really like that. As far as national anthems go, that's all right.
It's cool.
That's a nice one. Sounds like it's got a bit of history to it.
Yeah, Welsh history.
Some are, you know what I mean? Some are rubbish. Some
ours.
are rubbish.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
We could have a good one. I always thought if they were going to change it, Land of Hope and Glory, that would be a good one. What would you name it, Mark? If you had to pick one.
Oh, blimey.
Jerusalem's adopted by the rugby book guys.
Yeah, that was the kind of one I was thinking of. Jerusalem, really. That's pretty good, isn't it, for a lot of sporting events?
Land of Hope and Glory.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's just when you go to a rugby stadium, because like with basketball, you can get people with
Over land
different
and sea
different
and Wales
teams that everyone sits there
Yeah.
together, and then everyone sings an anthem and everyone sings it, sort of thing. I kind of like that. Yeah,
You still got your Welsh jersey?
I think I do.
No, you got to frame that.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know if when I then
green-
started teaching,
green.
it's actually red.
red.
It's got to be
yeah,
red.
it's red.
Like they got the red dragon, isn't it? Or is it a green dragon? No, it's a red dragon on a
Red
green
dragon.
flagon. On a
We had
green
red and-
flagon.
Green flag. We had red and white.
I'm
So we had
speaking Welsh.
red home, white away.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a red dragon. Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
Well,
than
I get.
blue red.
I get. I'm just thinking because there's always green in there. It's red, white, and green.
That'd be Irish, Mark. They'd have green.
Maybe.
They are green and white.
Yeah, it's green and white, isn't it?
Green's their home kit, white's their away
Scottish,
kit.
blue and white. Who?
No, do you know
What is
what?
it?
When we
Who?
did Four Nations,
Scotland.
yellow and purple
Really?
were their two kits. Like a luminous yellow.
It's not like the saltire though, is it? Which is blue and white. You'd always think it was the saltire would be always that.
They should go out full tartan with the pipes.
What's purple and yellow? Thistling.
Don't know.
Is that?
Yeah,
I
thistle.
think the purple
That'd
was
be a thistle.
might have been a random one. They did have blue as well, but their away kit was literally a luminous yellow, kind of like the force sign on there, but maybe
Okay.
even
Like a
maybe more like
royal-
highlighter yellow.
Yeah.
It was yeah. I can't say it was horrible, but I felt for the kids playing it.
Unless
Was that one of the ones where the kids have the same kit and it goes all the way through as well? Yeah.
unless
I mean, I love that, but at the same time,
England had a blue and a red. No, blue and something, and they were like
No, we're
All the colours
we're
are
white
taken.
and red.
white and red.
oh,
White and red.
They've-
They're
they've got the
only
blue
two colours we
kits.
have.
Recently, haven't they? They've had a blue kit recently. Some of the men's GB teams I've seen
Yeah, I think the GB teams have gone blue,
have gone blue now.
but the England teams are red and white.
Well, wait till you go to Australia. They got some great colours out there.
Can't wait.
It's all green and yellow and
Can't
orange.
wait.
Mainly-
Wallaby colours.
Mainly green and yellow.
Green and yellow, great. Seattle Sonics, fantastic. Can't go wrong.
So look, I mean, that's pretty cool to be able to represent a nation.
Yeah,
in
it was pretty
basketball.
cool. It was nice, and it was nice for my Welsh family. They loved it. It was cool. It was a good experience. And I would say not that it was easier to get in the Welsh national setup, but because I was playing there and I had more exposure to, obviously Wales is very small in comparison to England. I think you get more exposure, so there's more of an opportunity for you to play for a national team.
Because I guess the main things are you got Cardiff, Swansea, Aberystwyth down the side,
Yeah.
and other than that, it's at the top, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Aberystwyth.
Every
right.
time you say word like cities, you always.
Did I get it wrong?
No, you got it right.
But you say Barcelona.
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 That's how the Spanish say it.
We're not Spanish. It's Barcelona.
Barcelona.
What's the-
Beers, please.
No, I'm not like that. But it's
No,
what's the Welsh city again?
Aberystwyth.
And Cardiff.
No, Cardiff. But I'm just saying, you got Cardiff, Swansea, Newport to the right, and then
The Swansea.
what was that?
I
That
don't know.
sounded Italian.
Swansea.
I was just, yeah, okay, I was going with that. But I mean, it's funny because I don't think of the Welsh national basketball team because I've seen lots of things where it's GB.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Is it they are all separate, but is it only for different competitions? Because other times people come together, don't they?
Yeah, so I think it's easier to explain it from a junior point of view. So the Tri-Nations and the Four Nations tournaments are all set up for players to then get selected for the GB European stuff in the summer.
Okay.
So players are then put forward for their country. I know from England we had a selection camp, and then we dwindled it down to, I want to say 16, and we took 16 to the Tri-Nations tournament for under 14s, which is tough in its own self because they don't get the opportunity to do GB because they're too young. Although I did put one player forward for GB, and she actually has just come back from that under 16 success. She was out there with them, so that was quite nice. But then the under 16 Four Nations tournament stuff, so we were in Dublin this year. They are then it's Ireland, Scotland, Wales and us. So all of the talent that Donny could have picked from were all in one tournament. So it's good for him to be able to see them in different settings, I think.
Also going against each other as well.
Going against each other, yeah. The England-Ireland game was probably the most competitive for us as a nation. And it always is, because the Irish girls are competing for their spot to play for Ireland at the Europeans. So
yeah, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah.
So they're all competing against each other, whereas our England girls are trying to show what they can show. And I think from that group that we had out there, 7 of them all were at the European tournament.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Jeez.
What about Northern Ireland? Where's that kind of sit? 'Cause that has its own leagues over there, don't they? And
they have their own leagues, and coaches can, from working with GB coaches get sent footage from Northern Irish players to showcase. And I think, especially in the boys side of it this year, a couple of them got invited to the GB Combine, and then they get selected from there, I guess.
So, I mean, let's take a step back, but you mentioned there at this point in Cardiff, that's where sort of coaching came into the frame when we've been talking about coaching. So that's where the coaching
Cardiff
came in.
Built the coaching. So in my first year at university, they put me through my level 1 basketball coaching, and I was working with the boys side of things. I was doing the under 12 boys, which was pretty cool. They were tiny and just ran everywhere and did everything we asked them to do, which was quite nice. And then in my second year, my injury year, they put me through my level 2, because I actually found quite a joy for it. Like, it was nice to see the kids understanding what you're asking them to do and then the progress that they make. So in that second year, I still worked with the under 12s, but we had like 4 teams within the under 12s. So I took on 2 teams where I wasn't playing. And then in my third year, me and my housemate did the under 14s, boys and girls, which was pretty cool. And yeah, they sort of built my love for coaching and showed me what you can do as a coach and the difference you can make. So I owe half of it to Vicky and half of it to Lucy Power at Cardiff Met.
I love that. I love the fact that it's an under 12 team that's made you go,
yeah,
you know what, I'm seeing a progression of these kids. Couldn't get a layup, now they're getting layups or whatever it is, and then it's just like, bam, that's just lit something up inside you where you're just like, okay, I love it, I want to go into that. That's great. I love that.
So how do you find being a female coach teaching the boys under 12s?
Because I was a player,
yep,
and they'd seen me play,
there we go,
it was good. They respected it because they can see that I know what I'm talking about. I would say from doing a couple of camps when I came back at Kestrels, and it was mixed camps, and I'd be there with some of the D1 men, but I'd be there representing the female side. There was a few of the boys that didn't necessarily show the respect, but that's when the D1 players, Travis, for example, literally would jump in and be like, she's played higher than you'll ever play. Like, you need to respect her. But it would be necessarily because they hadn't seen me play. So they didn't know that I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one as well. If they, once they that sound really silly, but they're not aspiring to be a female basketball player.
Yeah.
They're aspiring to be one of the guys that they sit and watch in that trajectory. So it must be very difficult to say, I'm on the same level, although you're not aspiring to be exactly like me.
Yeah. I think it was easier at Cardiff as well, was because the women in basketball were higher at a higher standard than the men. So the boys, like the junior boys, would come and watch the women play because that was the top level of basketball that they could see down there.
And do you find that there's many women coaching and getting into coaching and taking the approach of not just working with women, but working with mixed as well? Is that something? Out of curiosity, more than anything else.
I think there are more female coaches now, but they want to focus on the female side of things, which is great. But actually, I loved starting with the boys and then going across to the girls because you see how they work differently. And going with the under 12 boys is where I found my love of coaching because they just ate on every word I said.
Yeah. Mark, you should get into coaching.
I'd be close to Mick, I think.
I know exactly how Anna feels when you do the fun and fundamentals and you say something and after weeks and weeks they're suddenly doing 11-man drill and you're like, man, these are 8-year-olds doing 11-man drill. This is awesome. It gives you a huge buzz. Huge buzz. Mark, when are you going to get into coaching then?
No time soon.
Why not? You're free on Sundays?
I wouldn't. Yeah.
This Sunday, Mark. We'll see you down there. Right. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. That is the end of this part. But do not worry, because coming soon is the second part of this episode, and it will be available soon.